So there's this big article about a high school in the UK replacing teachers with AI. Again, I hate clickbait titles like this because you read it and people automatically get mad. They start sharing it. They go, look at what's happening. AI is, eliminating teachers. This is so ridiculous, whatever. If you actually read the article and look into what they're doing, it's not quite what it seems. So, this high school is not replacing its teachers with artificial intelligence. By the way, if you're not familiar with what's going on in the UK, and it's not limited to the UK, but the UK is especially feeling the pain of this, they have a massive, massive teacher shortage right now. Okay. Massive teacher shortage. They don't have enough people to do the work as it stands today. So, this idea that they're trying to get rid of teachers, I would say not necessarily even an accurate representation of the situation. They're trying to figure out how to even fill the gaps right now. Not necessarily like, boy, we've got so many teachers. Maybe we can get rid of some of these with AI. That's not the case. But furthermore, they're not even necessarily replacing teachers with AI with this. When you actually dig into it, what they're doing is they're actually opening the door to allow students to be using AI tools to help them prep for standardized tests. Something that was historically limited to human teachers, providing this kind of guidance and prep. And, let me just say, this is not the first example. In fact, Harvard actually offers a fully AI instructed course on coding. So this isn't new. This isn't obscure. This isn't all that, unexpected. But in the UK right now, they've got, they're taking some heat because this high school is saying, yeah, we're going to actually let our students use AI. And I've heard arguments from both sides of it. Now, the advocates for it are claiming, well, let me think how I want to approach this. All right, let me do the advocates first. All right, so the advocates are saying, hey, no, this is actually really good because we have this teacher shortage and we want teachers, the limited teachers we have, spending their energy on more higher order activity, yada, yada, yada. This is a very similar kind of line of thinking to what we see in corporations. And so we're going to use these AI apps and it's going to allow these teachers to be able to focus on this other stuff while just kind of this tutoring type stuff can be left to the AI apps. It's going to be great for everyone. That's the one side. The opponents of it say, well, there's no evidence for AI. It's going to deliver worse outcomes. This is going to lead to you eliminating teachers. And, it's a slippery slope. Pretty soon, we're just going to have kids in school with AI. And there's no evidence. In fact, the only evidence shows that AI is actually worse than people. So you've got basically polar ends of the spectrum on this. And to be fair, I think there's truth on both sides of this. Now, one of the things that if you followed me for any length of time, I'm actually a big advocate of AI's adaptive learning capabilities. In fact, I would say I disagree with the opponents who say there is zero research supporting AI achieving better outcomes than human teachers. I actually would disagree with that. In fact, I've been involved with a number of research studies and applications and things like that where we've actually demonstrated better outcomes with AI. Now, where I agree with their point is, does that mean that there is no need for a human teacher? No, that I agree with. And so this is where I do agree with some of the advocates who are saying, look, we're dealing with a shortage of teachers. So you can stand on the sidelines and say, we should only have human teachers. We ain't got no human teachers to work with. So are you going to come be a teacher? Oh, no, you're not. Okay, well, then maybe quit barking at us. So I get they're saying, first of all, one, we don't have these teachers. Second of all, idealistically, we'd like the teachers to be working on the higher order, more important activities, not, sitting going. And also just think, many of you have not been teachers probably, but that's actually where I got my start. And I can tell you right now, in these classrooms, you do not have time to sit and work one-on-one with every single student. And I can tell you, having, a bunch of kids, that it's very difficult to personalize tutoring and learning to an individual. And AI can actually do this. In an idealistic world, would it be great if every single student had their own personal tutor? I mean, I guess, of course, but quite frankly, I actually don't think that's the best use of human resources. So I think we're in a very complicated situation. Here's my concern. Here's my concern. And I think this is something to anybody who's considering this kind of thing, whether it's with academics, with students, or in organizations. My concern in trying to dig into this a little more is I don't know. I have not seen, I'll put it this way, I have not seen any evidence that anyone has actually done the hard work to understand what actually does a teacher do and what is the student experience, and actually deconstruct that down to its molecular level and understand, okay, if this is what the student experience looks like, where are the teacher touch points, what are the activities that are happening in there? I've not seen it surgically deconstructed to that level to trust that how they're looking at allowing AI apps to help students is being done strategically and done well. I have a sneaking suspicion that, like many AI initiatives, we kind of have a general idea of what's going on. So we think these AI apps can, in general, do this stuff. So we're just going to slap these together and hope that it works. And we're not necessarily going to provide the runway to help prepare the teachers to understand what their new role is in this AI augmented world. We're not going to give the teachers the skills to work alongside this AI assisted student experience journey. We're not going, right. I have not found anything that has shown that level of detail put into this. And so what I predict and why I don't think this is going to go well is what we are going to see is people who don't understand it, not taking the time to try and deeply understand it, slapping what seems like an easy solution on top to solve what is a true problem, which is a teacher shortage, and in a desperate attempt to try and find easy fixes, actually create a much bigger mess. And so I think that's one of the risks. And I think one of the biggest risks that is legitimate is I do think if they actually start implementing some of these AI apps, I do think they're going to see an improvement in student outcomes. I actually really do, because AI is very good at personalized learning. And I do think, especially for something as prepping for a standardized test, that is a very repeatable, unique, like that's something that you can predict. You know exactly what you're teaching to, you know what the desired outcomes are, you know what the steps are to get there. And so you can predict that, and you can easily see somebody's path and go, nope, here's where they need more support. Here's where they need to do. There's not a lot of unpredictability when it comes to standardized tests. And so AI is going to crush it in that realm. And what I'm actually concerned about is it's going to crush it in that realm. And then people are going to go, it worked really well for this. Why don't we just have AI teachers as a whole? And that's where I would say, you don't understand the student experience or the teacher experience well enough to do that. So that's actually more my concern. So I guess the takeaway for this for anybody would be, when you are looking to use AI for anything, take the time to understand the experience itself first, because there are absolutely components of it that AI is vastly superior to a person, vastly superior. But until you actually do the work to understand the whole experience and understand the complexity of it, you will never know where those spots lie. And as a result, you're throwing the spaghetti at the wall, and maybe you'll get lucky like this. Maybe you'll get lucky with, standardized tests. I actually think that's going to be some spaghetti that sticks. Whether that was intentional or not, I don't know. And I don't see any evidence showing that it is. But I think that's going to be where it sticks. The problem with that is then you see that spaghetti sticking to the wall and you go, see, spaghetti sticks to the wall. And you start throwing other things at the wall and you don't realize, like, oh, we just got lucky on that one. So, anyway, will be interesting to progress how we see this. I know even my kids with their homeschooling, they have adaptive learning engines on their homeschool stuff. It is extremely helpful for them, but they also have really engaged teacher interactions. And I'm very involved as a dad, and so is my wife as a mom. So there is a place for all of this to work together. I don't think it's an either or situation, but we'll be curious to see how this one plays out.